The Thanksgiving turkey sat in the center of the table, perfectly golden, surrounded by all the traditional sides my mother had spent days preparing. 18 family members crowded around the extended dining table in my parents' Phoenix home, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, all dressed in their Thanksgiving best, ready to share what they were grateful for this year. I was grateful to finally be making real money. Grateful that my startup was about to close a series of funding round. Grateful that everything I'd been working toward for the past 3 years was finally paying off. But I wasn't planning to share any of that. Because my family, especially my parents, had made it clear they thought I was wasting my life. My name is Elena Mitchell, and at 27, I was living in my parents' basement while building a software-as-a-service platform for small businesses. To my family, that meant I was unemployed, directionless, and mooching off my parents' generosity. They didn't know that my unemployed status meant I was working 80-hour weeks. That my directionless life had a very clear direction, building something that would change the industry. That living in their basement had been a strategic choice to minimize expenses while I bootstrapped my company. They just saw a 27-year-old with no real job, no apartment of my own, no girlfriend, no conventional markers of success. My younger brother Tyler, 24, was a first-year associate at a law firm. My sister Maya, 25, was a marketing manager at a tech company. Both had apartments, new cars, active social lives. Both were held up as examples of what I should be doing. "Let's go around the table," my mother said, smiling at everyone. "Share what you're thankful for this year." My grandmother started. Then my uncle. Then my cousins. Each person sharing gratitude for family, health, career milestones. When it got to Tyler, he grinned. "I'm thankful for making junior partner track at my firm. They said I'm on pace to make partner by 30, which is basically unheard of." Everyone applauded. My father beamed with pride. Maya went next. "I'm thankful for my promotion to senior marketing manager and for my boyfriend Derek, who's been amazing." More applause. More proud parental beaming. Then it was my turn. 18 pairs of eyes turned to me, most filled with pity or judgment. "I'm thankful for my health and for the opportunity to work on something I'm passionate about," I said simply. My father's expression soured immediately. "Elena, when are you going to be thankful for a real job?" The table went quiet. This wasn't part of the gratitude sharing tradition. "I have a real job, Dad. I'm building." "You're playing on computers in our basement," he interrupted. "You're 27 years old. Tyler's on partner track. Maya's climbing the corporate ladder. You're living in our house, using our electricity, eating our food, and doing what? Building apps that nobody uses?" My face burned. "My platform has over 10,000 active users." "And how much money are you making from these 10,000 users?" my father asked. I couldn't answer honestly. Because the truth, that we just turned down a $15 million acquisition offer and were about to close a $12 million series of funding round, wasn't something I could share yet. The documents weren't signed. The deal wasn't public. And I'd learned the hard way that my family would dismiss anything that wasn't already proven. "That's what I thought," my father said, interpreting my silence as confirmation of failure. "You're making nothing. Meanwhile, you're living rent-free while your brother and sister are supporting themselves." "Jonathan," my mother said quietly, but she didn't sound like she was disagreeing with him. "Just suggesting he choose a better time." "No, Michelle. He needs to hear this. We've been too soft for too long." My father looked directly at me, and I could see he'd been planning this. "Elena, your mother and I have made a decision. You have until New Year's to find your own place and move out." The room was silent. 18 people staring, some shocked, some sympathetic, some nodding like they thought this was long overdue. "You're kicking me out?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "We're pushing you out of the nest," my father corrected. "You need to grow up. Get a real job. Start acting like an adult. You've had 3 years to make this computer thing work. It hasn't. Time to face reality." I have faced reality. You've faced a fantasy. You think you're going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, but you're just another kid with a laptop and a dream. Meanwhile, your brother and sister are building real careers, and you're still playing in our basement like you're 15 years old. My Uncle Richard cleared his throat uncomfortably. Jonathan, maybe this conversation should be private. Why? So Elena can keep living in denial? No. He needs to hear this. He needs to understand that the world doesn't reward pipe dreams. It rewards hard work in real jobs. I looked at my mother, hoping for some support. She avoided my eyes, focusing on her plate. So that's it? I said. I have 6 weeks to move out. 6 weeks is generous, my father said. Most landlords give 30 days. You should be grateful we're giving you time to find a job and an apartment. A job that meets your standards, I said bitterly. A job that pays you enough to support yourself. Yes. That's the standard. It's not unreasonable. I stood up from the table. Everyone watched me. I need some air. Elena, sit down. We're not done eating, my mother said. I'm done. I walked out of the dining room, grabbed my jacket, and left the house. Sat in my car in the driveway, hands shaking with rage and humiliation. My phone buzzed. A text from my business partner and co-founder, Sarah Chen. Happy Thanksgiving. The lawyers confirmed, we're signing the Series A docs Monday. $12 million at a $50 million valuation. We did it. Party popper. I stared at that message. $12 million in funding. $50 million valuation. A startup that would make me a millionaire on paper, with potential to be worth much more if we hit our projections. And my father had just publicly humiliated me in front of the entire family, calling me a failure and kicking me out. I texted Sarah back, great news. I'll be at the office Monday to sign. Also, I'm going to need to find an apartment quickly. Got kicked out at Thanksgiving dinner. Her response came immediately, what? Are you serious? Dead serious. My dad gave me until New Year's. Said I need to get a real job and grow up. Elena, you're about to be a multi-millionaire founder. Does he know about the funding? No. And I'm not telling him. Why not? I thought about that. Why not tell them? Why not prove them wrong? Because they'd already decided who I was. Already dismissed my work without trying to understand it. Already chosen to humiliate me publicly rather than support me privately. Because they don't deserve to know, I texted back. They want me to get a real job. Fine. I'll move out. I'll build my life. And they can find out about my success when everyone else does. Over the next week, I quietly started planning my exit. Found a luxury apartment in downtown Phoenix, a penthouse with a view, the kind of place that cost $4,500 a month but that I could now easily afford. Put down the deposit and first month's rent using money from my personal savings. Hired movers. Scheduled them for December 20th, giving myself plenty of time before the New Year's deadline. And I told no one in my family. Not Tyler, not Maya, not even my mother who'd called twice to make sure I was okay after Thanksgiving. I worked from the basement like always, acting like nothing had changed. My father ignored me completely. My mother left meals outside my door like I was in quarantine. On December 18th, the Series A documents were finalized. $12 million deposited into the company account. My personal stake, 35% of the company, was now worth $17.5 million on paper. The press release went out the next morning. Small business SaaS platform, BizSync, raises $12 million Series A led by venture capital firm TechForward. The tech blogs picked it up immediately. TechCrunch ran a story. VentureBeat covered it. My LinkedIn exploded with congratulations and connection requests. And my phone stayed silent. No calls from family. No texts. Nothing. Because none of them followed tech news. None of them cared enough about my computer thing to Google my company name or check my LinkedIn. They had no idea. On December 20th, the movers arrived at 8 a.m. My father was already at work. My mother was at her book club. I'd timed it perfectly. The movers cleared out everything I owned from the basement: my desk, my computer setup, my clothes, my books. By noon, the basement looked like I'd never been there. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Mom and Dad, I've moved out as requested. Thank you for the deadline, it motivated me to make some changes. I won't be attending Christmas this year, as I have work commitments. Best wishes for the holiday. Elena. Then I drove to my new penthouse apartment, where my furniture was being delivered, and started my new life. My phone rang that evening. My mother. I didn't answer. She called 3 more times. I ignored them all. She left a voicemail: Elena, we came home and you're gone. You didn't even say goodbye. We need to talk. Please call me back. I deleted it. December 21st, I got a text from Tyler: Dude, WTF? You just vanished. Mom is freaking out. I replied, they gave me a deadline. I met it. What's the problem? You could have said goodbye. I left a note. That's not the same thing. It's what I had time for. I'd been busy getting my life together like Dad wanted. No response. December 22nd, my sister Maya called. I answered this time. Elena, what's going on? Mom and Dad are really upset. You just disappeared. They told me to move out. I moved out. But you didn't tell anyone where you were going. What if something happened to you? I'm 27 years old, Maya. I don't need to check in with my parents about my living situation. Are you okay? Where are you staying? I'm fine. I have my own place. Your own place? How are you affording rent? Did you finally get a real job? There it was. Even Maya, the nice sibling, couldn't help making that dig. Something like that, I said. Look, I need to go. I have a lot of work to do. Elena, are you coming to Christmas? No. I already told Mom and Dad in my note. I have work commitments. Work commitments? Elena, it's Christmas. What work could you possibly? Goodbye, Maya. I hung up. Christmas came and went. I spent it in my new apartment, working on product development, taking meetings with investors, planning our expansion strategy. My phone exploded with texts from family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, all asking where I was, if I was okay, telling me that my parents were worried. I responded to none of them. December 28th, 3 days before New Year's Eve, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Elena? It's Uncle Richard. Hi, Uncle Richard. I wanted to check on you. Your parents are really worried. Your mother has barely stopped crying since you left. They told me to leave. I know. And I told your father at Thanksgiving that he was being too harsh. But Elena, they're your parents. They love you. They don't understand what you do. They never tried to understand. That's fair. But don't you think you should at least let them know you're okay? Give them your new address? They're imagining you sleeping in your car or... I'm not sleeping in my car. I have a very nice apartment. I'm doing very well. Better than they could imagine. Then tell them that. Put their minds at ease. Why? So they can judge my apartment? My job? My life choices? Uncle Richard, my father publicly humiliated me in front of the entire family. Called me a failure and a mooch. And my mother sat there and let it happen. They don't get to worry about me now. He was quiet for a moment. I understand you're hurt. But family is family. Family supports family. Family doesn't kick you out during Thanksgiving dinner because you're not living up to their expectations. What if something happens to you? What if there's an emergency? I almost laughed. Then you'll figure it out like everyone else does. Look, I appreciate the call. But I'm doing fine. Better than fine. And I need space from people who think I'm a failure. After I hung up, I felt guilty for about 10 minutes. Then I remembered my father's face at Thanksgiving. The contempt. The certainty that I was wasting my life. He'd made his choice. I'd made mine. New Year's Eve arrived. I celebrated at my apartment with Sarah and our small team, 6 people total who'd built BizSync from nothing into a funded startup with real traction. We toasted to our success, made plans for the year ahead, dreamed about where we'd be by next New Year's. My phone stayed silent. No Happy New Year texts from my family. They'd given up trying to reach me. Good. January brought rapid growth. With series of funding, we hired aggressively. Moved into a real office. Expanded our sales team. Our user base exploded, from 10,000 to 45,000 in 1 month. The press coverage continued. More tech blogs. A profile in Forbes about rising startup founders to watch. An invitation to speak at a tech conference in March. And still, my family had no idea. It wasn't until mid-January that the silence broke. I got a call from Tyler. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Elena, holy shit, is this real? He sounded breathless, excited. Is what real? BizSync. That's your company, right? The one that just raised $12 million? My stomach dropped. How do you know about that? One of the partners at my firm mentioned it. Said they were looking at investing in the next round. He asked if I knew you, said he saw we had the same last name and both listed Phoenix as our location. Elena, is it true? Did you really raise $12 million? I was quiet for a long moment. Yes. Dude. Why didn't you say anything? Do mom and dad know? No. And I'd appreciate if you didn't tell them. Are you insane? You're a millionaire. You just raised, Elena, this is huge. Why wouldn't you want them to know? Because they made it very clear at Thanksgiving what they think of my computer thing. I don't need their approval now that it's successful. I needed their support when it was hard. They chose not to give it. Tyler was quiet. Elena, Dad was harsh. But he didn't know. He didn't know because he never asked. He never wanted to understand what I was building. He just assumed I was fucking around in the basement because I'm lazy or stupid or both. He's your dad. He was worried about you. He humiliated me. In front of the entire family. Called me a mooch and a failure. So no, Tyler, I'm not interested in sharing my success with people who were so certain I'd fail. You're being petty. I'm being protective. Of my peace and my energy. I don't owe them my success story after they wrote me off. They're going to find out eventually. Let them. But they're not hearing it from me. I hung up. An hour later, Maya called. Elena, Tyler told me about BizSync. Is it true? Yes. You raised $12 million and you didn't tell us? I didn't tell you because you all made it very clear you thought I was wasting my time. We didn't know. You didn't ask. There's a difference. Elena, Mom and Dad have been worried sick. They think you're struggling, barely making ends meet. Good. Let them think that. Maybe it'll teach them something about making assumptions. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. They kicked me out, Maya. They gave me an ultimatum at Thanksgiving dinner in front of everyone. They humiliated me. And now you want me to what? Call them up and say, surprise, I'm actually a millionaire, you were wrong about everything? Why would I give them that? Because they're your parents and they love you. They love the son they wanted me to be. They never bothered to know the son I actually am. She hung up on me. February brought more growth. We signed major clients. Our revenue tripled. The company valuation increased. My personal net worth on paper crossed $20 million. I bought a Tesla. Upgraded my wardrobe. Started dating someone I met at a tech conference. Lived my life completely separate from my family. Then, in early March, everything changed. I was invited to speak at Southwest Tech Summit, a major conference in Phoenix. My talk was titled Bootstrapping to Series A, Building a SaaS Company While Living in Your Parents' Basement. The irony wasn't lost on me. The conference was huge, over 2,000 attendees, major press coverage, live streamed to thousands more online. When I took the stage, I told my story honestly. The 3 years of 80-hour weeks. The rejection from early investors. The decision to live at home to minimize expenses. The slow, painful growth from 0 to 10,000 users. The turning point when we started getting traction. The series A round that validated everything we'd built. The hardest part wasn't the technical challenges, I told the audience. It was the judgment from people who didn't understand what I was building. Family members who thought I was wasting my time. People who called me unemployed when I was working harder than I'd ever worked. The moment I knew I'd made it wasn't when the funding came through, it was when I realized I didn't need their approval anymore. The audience applauded. The talk went viral on Twitter. Tech blogs covered it. And my phone started exploding. Messages from family members who'd watched the live stream. From cousins, Elena, we had no idea. That was incredible. From aunts and uncles, so proud of you. Your talk was inspiring. From my grandmother, sweetheart, I watched your presentation. You're doing amazing things. I'm so sorry if we made you feel unsupported. And then, the call I'd been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. My mother. I answered. Elena. Her voice was thick with tears. I just watched your talk. You raised $12 million? You have a company worth $50 million? Yes. Why didn't you tell us? Because you didn't want to know. You'd already decided I was a failure. That's not true. Mom, Dad kicked me out at Thanksgiving. In front of everyone. Called me a mooch who plays on computers. You sat there and let it happen. What part of that suggests you wanted to know about my success? She was crying now. We were worried about you. We didn't understand. You didn't try to understand. That's the problem. You just assumed I was wasting my time because I wasn't following a conventional path. Elena, please. Your father wants to talk to you. He's devastated. He had no idea. He had no idea because he never asked. He never wanted to know what I was actually building. He just wanted me to be like Tyler or Maya. Can we see you? Can we talk in person? Please. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to refuse, to let them sit with their guilt and regret. Part of me wanted to see their faces when they realized how wrong they'd been. Fine. But I'm coming to you. Not staying. Just talking. Thank you. When? Tomorrow. 2 p.m. I hung up before she could respond. The next day, I drove to my parents' house in my Tesla. Parked in the driveway, the same driveway where I'd sat in my old Honda after Thanksgiving, devastated and humiliated. My mother opened the door before I could knock. She looked older, tired, her eyes red from crying. Elena. She pulled me into a hug. I stood stiffly, not returning it. My father was in the living room, sitting on the couch. He looked smaller than I remembered. Broken. Son, he said, standing up. I owe you an apology. Yes, you do. He flinched at my tone. I watched your talk. 3 times. I had no idea what you were building. No idea how hard you were working. No idea how successful you'd become. You had no idea because you never asked. You just assumed. I was wrong. I was so wrong. His voice cracked. I thought I was helping you. Pushing you to be responsible. I didn't realize, I should have trusted you. Should have asked questions instead of making judgments. You humiliated me, I said quietly. In front of the entire family. Called me a failure and a mooch. Gave me 6 weeks to get out. Do you have any idea what that felt like? I'm sorry. God, Elena, I'm so sorry. My mother was crying again. We've been so worried. You disappeared. Wouldn't answer our calls. We thought you were struggling, maybe homeless. I'm living in a penthouse in downtown Phoenix. I drive a Tesla. I'm dating a venture capitalist I met at a conference. I'm doing better than I ever imagined. And you thought I was homeless because you couldn't conceive of me being successful on my own terms. We were wrong, my father said. We were so wrong about everything. Yes. You were. We sat in silence for a long moment. Can you forgive us? My mother finally asked. I thought about that. Could I forgive them? The humiliation, the judgment, the complete dismissal of my work? I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe eventually. But right now? I'm still angry. I'm angry that you kicked me out instead of supporting me. I'm angry that you never tried to understand what I was building. I'm angry that it took me becoming a millionaire for you to think maybe I wasn't a failure. What can we do? My father asked. How can we make this right? You can't. That's the point. You can't undo Thanksgiving. You can't undo 3 years of judgment. You can't undo telling me I needed to get a real job while I was building something worth $50 million. So that's it? My mother asked. You're never going to forgive us? I didn't say that. I said I don't know. Give me time. Let me figure out if I want you in my life or if I'm better off without you. The words landed like bombs. Both of them looked devastated. You're our son, my father said. And you're my parents. But that doesn't mean you're entitled to my success or my forgiveness. You have to earn those. I stood up. I need to go. I have a board meeting in an hour. Will you come to Sunday dinner? My mother asked desperately. Please. I don't think so. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I'll let you know. I walked out, leaving them in their living room with their regret. Driving back to my apartment, I felt lighter. I'd said what I needed to say. Set the boundaries I needed to set. And I'd done it without cruelty, without vindictiveness, just honest truth about how their choices had affected me. 3 months later, my parents were still trying to rebuild our relationship. My mother texted weekly, asking how I was, sharing articles about startups, trying to show interest in my work. My father sent awkward emails with subject lines like, "Thought of you," and links to tech news. I responded occasionally. Short, polite messages. Keeping them at arm's length. Tyler and Maya reached out more frequently. My siblings, at least, seemed to genuinely understand what they'd missed. We had dinner once a month, slowly rebuilding what had been broken. By year's end, BizSync had 200,000 users and was valued at $150 million. I was featured in incorporated magazines, 30 Under 30. My parents sent a congratulations card. I didn't respond. Because the truth was, I'd learned something valuable from being kicked out at Thanksgiving. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their validation. I'd built something extraordinary without them, and that was more empowering than any reconciliation could be. My father had wanted to push me out of the nest so I'd grow up. He'd succeeded. Just not in the way he'd imagined. I'd grown up by learning I didn't need him anymore. And that was the best gift he could have given me.